Ball pythons like this one here are really great pets, but if you're gonna bring one home, you've gotta have a perfectly set up enclosure ready to go. And today, I'm gonna teach you how to set up a ball python enclosure on any budget. My name's Adam, this is Pikachu, you're watching Wickens Reptiles, stick around. A few months back, we had a few issues with, I found one snake mite on one snake, and I tore this room apart and decided to make everything kind of sterile, just plain one water bowl, one hide, paper towel, that sort of a thing. And now I'm ready to make it look beautiful again. So, in my opinion, the best way to set up most animals is in a bioactive type way. And that just means there's a cleanup crew to help break down mold and any waste that's left over. And with a bigger animal like a ball python, they're gonna create waste big enough that you'll need to actually scoop it out, no matter how good of a cleanup crew you have. But the remnants of any urates or whatever that have sunk down into the layer of the substrate that you might not see, well, it's going to break that down and keep it a lot cleaner and a lot fresher in there. So that's a lot of talking. Let's get started. I went to the dollar store, and I think that is probably the best way to go. Now, if you're in Canada, you know the running joke, the $4 store, because everything costs $4 there. It's a real thing. But especially if you live in a place where everything's really $1 and you can buy things like oil pans or dish soap bowl thingy bob, whatever this thing is here, for actually $1, then that would be freaking awesome, right? That's what we've done, is we went to the dollar store and bought some fake foliage too. I prefer fake foliage for really heavy bodied animals like ball pythons, because let's face it, if you planted it with actual plants, they would just destroy them. It would be a waste of your money and you'd have to redo it all the time. So that's what I do. First step, get everything out of here. So you've got a new enclosure, or if you want, you can buy something really fancy. Like we did a bearded dragon enclosure build last year in a custom cages enclosure, which in my opinion is the best enclosure you can buy. It's sturdy. You can put a light fixture in there. It's got a 4-inch lip. These ones here are a little bit more economical. These are just the ones that I find on Kijiji, which is Canada's version of Craigslist. It's got like a 1.5-inch lip, so you'd have to pile the substrate at the back. We'll get into that in 2 seconds here. And to heat it and to light it, we'll do that first. And I've already done that, is I put strip lights inside. You can buy these on Amazon. There's a link below if you want to use it. It's an affiliate link, so yes, I make a couple cents, but those are the ones that I use. And then a heat panel in there as well, which I have hooked up to a thermostat, which again, there's a link below to the thermostat that I use. So that's it. Screw in the heat panel, plug it into a thermostat, wham bam, Bob's your uncle, you're ready for substrate. And for that, I just use a no-name type of coconut chip material. You don't have to go out and buy the name brand one with the dart frog on it. You can just go to a hardware store and buy a organic coconut mulch, basically is what it is. I use Beyond Peat, or whatever they just changed their name to, from Home Hardware. In the US, you've got Home Depot and things like that. Either way, you can buy it there. Throw it into a bin, put some water into it, mix it up, and then you put it in the enclosure. Okay, so that's the messy part over. That is honestly like the most annoying part, is just putting all that in there, especially if you've got some. This is actually kind of the perfect height. We've got a stack of these here. So like I said, we'll be doing a lot of these videos for different species. But once you've got it all set up, I would just let the substrate maybe warm up a bit if it wasn't warm already. I don't know if you can see that, but it's 79 basically. So I'm never gonna find that now. Basically where you want it to be warm enough when you put your snake in there, it's not gonna be cold and shock it, and not hot enough where it's going to burn the animal. A lot of people ask me where I put the probe for the thermostat, for the thermostat, because when you hook everything up to a thermostat, your radiant heat panel, which is what I use, you have a probe, which is what measures the temperature and keeps it at that temperature. And what I do is I stick mine on the substrate and I stick a hide over top of it, and that way I know that the temperature inside of that hide is the ambient temperature that I'm going for. And then for a hot spot, there you can just put something underneath, like a heat mat or heat tape, same sort of thing on a thermostat with a probe. That's basically what you do. I get that question a lot. I wanted to take a couple seconds to explain it. All right, so first things first, the water bowl that I use, it's already full of water, so I'm being careful. This is just a porcelain bowl. It cost me $4 at the dollar store. So we're talking about like economical, and it's non-porous, so it's really easy to clean. So porcelain or ceramic or Well, I don't know. I always put the water bowl on the warm side for ball pythons because they're a humid-loving species, and if you put the heating element over top of the water or the water underneath the heating element, it'll evaporate that water a little bit more, which means you'll have to replace it more often, but who cares? You should be doing that anyway, but the evaporation causes humidity. There's your 4th grade science. Next, I take these washing bin, I forget what this was called. It was like a washing bin or something, and then a bowl which is made for like, you bring orange slices or watermelon to your soccer practice in this. I don't actually know. It's like a picnic. It's like a picnic basket. I don't know.
Hey, boo-boo, let's see what we got in this picnic basket.
Anyway, you flip them upside down, and then there you go. You have yourself a hide. Now, what you can do is you can either like do a little cutout and then burn the edges, or use a soldering iron to cut it out so there's a hole in it, or just prop it up and it's a snake. It will be able to burrow underneath, and like I prefer to do that because then it's actually dark in there. And that's what I always say. People ask me all the time, what lumens should the lights be at? Like, don't overthink it. You're overthinking it if you're asking those questions. I'm just using the lights that I have in the description, which do get really bright. I keep them on the lower setting unless I want to show it off, do a video, whatever. And if it looks extra lit up, it's just because I have these in there right now. So it doesn't matter how bright it is, as long as you have somewhere for the animal to get out of the way of the light, because ball pythons are nocturnal or crepuscular animals. Basically, that means they're not going to be out during the day most of the time. They'll be hiding most of the time, and at night when the lights go off, because you're going to give your ball python a photo period. Here's a care guide. Just watch the care guide if you want to know what I'm talking about. Then they're going to come out of their hide. And for this too, you can use things like cork rounds. If you've been watching the channel for a long time, you'll remember I had a female ball python with a cork round, which is pretty big. I used it for Diamonds Enclosure last year, actually. And she actually laid eggs in it, and I couldn't get her out or the eggs. And anyway, it's just difficult to get snakes out of a cork round if you want them to be out of a cork round. Where with these, you pick them up, and that's it. Then you can grab your snake. So at this point, it actually kind of looks plain and boring. And this would actually be fine, but here's what I always say. An enclosure is never too big for a snake, within reason. I'm not talking about letting your snake go in an 800 square foot room. I'm talking about realistic enclosure sizes. Even something like for a ball python, like an 8 foot by 4 foot by however many feet high, isn't too big as long as they can find their water, they can find their food, which will feed them off tongs anyway, most likely, right? Frozen thawed or fresh killed or whatever. And they feel secure. And the way that an animal is going to feel secure going from hide to hide is to give it kind of cover. So you can use real plants, which is what I do for things like dart frogs and smaller animals that won't destroy them. But I use fake plants that I buy from the dollar store for ball pythons. Just an important note with these things, which are very loud, I'll put these down, is make sure that whatever dies, if some of them, if you get like a floral type fake plant, the dye will actually run and can get on your snake, and it's just, so make sure it's washed off, or just buy them that don't have dyes that will run like that anyway. So I just bought a bunch of different ones of these. These are $2.50 each. These are $1.25 each. And I've got some leftover kind of like sprawly things, which I think were like $2 each as well. So like we're doing really good for money here. And if you bought something similar to this at a reptile store, this is $8. These are probably $7 each. So just go to a dollar store. Don't forget to take the tags off. And you can really do whatever you want. If you want to go ham and just go crazy with it, go ahead. If not, then that's not a big deal either. Just do it like a few strands here or there. Everyone has a different budget. And keep in mind, you have to clean these because the animal will defecate on them. So just make your life as easy as possible, or make it as elaborate as possible. It really depends. But I am telling you, if you've got 50 animals and you do this 50 times, you're going to want to take as much time-saving measure as possible. Oh, and I know this may be not the most beautiful thing in the world. I'm just trying to make it more functional, and when you come in and you look collectively at all the enclosures, they look kind of sort of uniform, and they look nice. Not the best thing in the world. I'm not going for zoo quality. I'm going for some idiot with a YouTube channel who's trying to be kind of impressive, and I like to look at it too. Quality. That's it. And I always put the brick, oh here, I'll show you on this side here, just kind of like close to the wall, just simply because it gives the snake the opportunity to be between the wall, kind of squeeze itself between the wall and the brick, but not too much, or just kind of go over the, anyway, this isn't even scientific. This is just my theory. The last thing that I recommend, and I know they're a ball python and they're terrestrial, and there has been a little bit of science to prove that especially males will exhibit some semi-arboreal behavior. For this reason, I got some bamboo thingy-mabobber here's, which I think were just tiki torches that I bought in the summer from the dollar store and just kind of cut. And then I took a little bit of twine just to kind of like make an X out of it or just make it a little bit. Anyway, I've seen Pikachu actually use these in a different enclosure at the old house before I set him up with these. So I'm going to use these again and just give him an opportunity to climb. The only important thing I'll say, and I'll show you this side, is just make sure that there's like a brick on the one end, or it's rooted into something, or it's actually silicone to the wall or something, so it doesn't fall and hurt the snake. I mean, this enclosure is only 16 inches high, but still, I mean, I don't want Pikachu to fall. I love Pikachu. He's awesome. I literally just realized I'm wearing the Pikachu shirt. This was not even planned. There's a link in the description if you want one. Okay, let's finish up. So there you have it. I think that's basically it. You have the main essentials, the bare necessities, let's say. Your water bowl, your 2 hides, some cover for them, something rough for them to actually scrape their body on, a light situation here to give them a photo period, and something to heat them. And that's it. I really can't think of much easier way to do this and cheap as well. I think there's 25 bucks or so worth of stuff in there. I'll break it down in the description like for a full breakdown. So if you get this enclosure off Kijiji or at Craigslist for 100 bucks like I did, and you get your heating and your lighting for say another 100 bucks, you're doing this for 225 bucks, which maybe seems like a lot of money, but at the end of the day, I honestly believe this. I don't mean to sound snootish or prude or whatever, but if you aren't willing to spend hundreds of dollars every year on your, it's just part of it. That's just part of Reptiles. And that's why I've linked in the description where you can buy everything in this list, everything in this video, because it's what I use, and the reason I use it is because I don't have to replace it, because it's the best version of everything that I've tried so far. So all that's left is to let your little snake go back into the enclosure. And by the way, you could definitely do this exact same setup for a juvenile Burmese python, or on a bigger scale with an adult Burmese python. The differences are negligible. The differences are like a little bit of humidity and heat, but you can do this exact setup and just change the parameters with the thermostat and how much you missed. But that's basically it. Now all we have to do is throw some isopods in there, which I've already done, but I turned the camera off for that for some reason, and then put Pikachu in there, and that's it. It's really fantastic that you can do this for so cheap, so easy. It takes almost no time. What do you think? Do you think that this is a good build? Would you like something a little bit better? How would you do it? Let me know in the comment section below. Again, I'm just some guy with a camera that wants to give my animals the best possible life they can have without taking me 100 years to clean the enclosure. That's the name of the game. Make it perfect for the animal to live in, so it's the perfect parameters and easy for you to clean, so it doesn't become a chore and you never put it off. These enclosures are always clean, it always smells good in here, and that's because I take the steps to make it easier for me to actually service the enclosures. With that in mind, I want to say thank you for watching. If you like this, if this was helpful for you at all, please hit the like button. It really, these videos take a lot longer than you think to actually make. Hit the subscribe if you don't mind, and leave a comment to let me know what you think about the build, how you change it. And a special thank you as always to the Patreon supporters. You guys are freaking amazing. I love having this platform to show you this stuff early. You get to see this days in advance. You get to watch the video in advance. You're going to get to see the reptile room a month before everybody else likely. And you know about animals in the collection that I don't talk about. And if you want silly shirts like this, you get discounts on that too. So for as little as $1 a month, you can be part of the Patreon supporter club too. And that's it. Because I do videos twice a week, that means that I'll see you on Monday. Or today's Thursday. I'll see you on Thursday.